Welcome to the Inspect SSL Traffic lesson. After completing this lesson, you will be able to achieve these objectives. Describe why SSL traffic should be inspected. Describe how SSL inspection works in FortiGate. Configure an SSL inspection in a firewall policy. HTTPS offers protection by applying encryption to web traffic. However, it also introduces a potential security risk, because attackers may attempt to use encrypted traffic to get around your network's normal defenses. For example, Bob connects to the website example.com. The site has a certificate issued by a legitimate certificate authority. Because the CA is approved, a valid verification certificate is in Bob's certificate store, and Bob's browser establishes an SSL session with the website. However, unknown to Bob, the example.com website has been infected with a virus. The virus, cloaked by encryption, passes through FortiGate undetected and enters Bob's computer. To prevent this, you can use SSL inspection to inspect encrypted traffic. There are two different types of FortiGate SSL inspection: certificate inspection, deep inspection. When you use SSL certificate inspection, FortiGate inspects the SSL TLS handshake when a session begins. By doing this, FortiGate verifies the identity of the web server and makes sure that the HTTPS protocol is not used as a workaround to access sites you have blocked using web filtering. The only security feature that you can use with SSL certificate inspection mode is web filtering. However, this method does not introduce certificate errors and can be a useful alternative to deep SSL inspection when you use web filtering. When you use SSL deep inspection, also known as full inspection, FortiGate impersonates the recipient of the originating SSL session, then decrypts and inspects the content to find threats and block them. If the content is safe, FortiGate re-encrypts the content and sends it to the real recipient. You can apply all types of security scanning with SSL deep inspection, including web filtering. Deep inspection not only protects you from attacks that use HTTPS, it also protects you from other commonly used SSL encrypted protocols, such as SMTPS, POP3S, IMAPS, and FTPS. To use FortiGate SSL inspection, you apply an SSL inspection profile to the firewall policy. When you use SSL deep inspection using the FortiGate CA certificate, your browser displays a certificate warning each time you connect to an HTTPS site. This occurs because FortiGate is generating a certificate that appears to be from the correct site, but is signed by the FortiGate CA, which is not a CA the browser trusts by default. This makes it appear that FortiGate is performing a man-in-the-middle attack. For example, a network user connects to https://facebook.com. Traffic from the Facebook web server uses the real Facebook certificate, signed by a well-known CA. FortiGate intercepts this traffic and decrypts it. Then, when it is deemed safe, FortiGate passes the traffic on to the end user. The traffic now uses a certificate with the name https://facebook.com, but the certificate is signed by the FortiGate CA. Certificate errors can also appear when you use SSL certificate inspection, because FortiGate uses its CA certificate to encrypt the replacement message that appears when you attempt to browse to a blocked site over HTTPS. To avoid certificate warnings, do one of the following. Download the Fortinet_CA_SSL certificate and install it on all the workstations as a trusted root authority. Use an SSL certificate issued by a CA and ensure the certificate is installed in the necessary browsers. Now let's watch a senior Fortinet instructor demonstrate the following tasks.
Configure SSL deep inspection. Task 1. Apply SSL inspection using the custom deep inspection profile. First, we're going to apply the custom deep inspection profile to a firewall policy. We'll connect to the FortiGate GUI and log in as the admin. Click Security Profiles, SSL SSH Inspection. On this page, you can see the 4 preloaded profiles. The custom deep inspection profile is the only one that we can edit, so we'll do that. On this page, you can see all the various settings for SSL inspection and edit them if necessary. For now, we'll use the default settings. Click Policy and Objects, Firewall Policy, to view the firewall policies. We need to edit the policy allowing network users to access the Internet, called Internet Access. In order for the FortiGate to apply SSL inspection, we also need to enable at least one type of security scanning. For now, we'll enable antivirus and use the default profile. Once that's done, make sure the SSL inspection is set to Custom Deep Inspection. Click OK to save the changes. Now we'll open a web browser and browse to https://facebook.com. The FortiGate applies SSL deep inspection to the traffic, but because we haven't installed the FortiGate self-signed certificate on our device, a certificate error appears. If we look at the certificate information in the browser, you can see that it shows that it's signed by a FortiGate. Task 2. Install the CA certificate to avoid certificate warnings. To avoid seeing certificate errors in the future, let's now install the CA certificate to our end device. Now, this procedure will differ depending on what your browser and operating system is. In this particular demo, I'm going to be using Firefox on Linux. We'll start by going back to the FortiGate and we'll edit the custom deep inspection profile. Beside CA certificate, we click on Download. In Firefox, we need to go into our settings in order to install the certificate. Once we get to the certificate section, we can go and import the CA certificate. In this case, we'll trust for websites. Now that the certificate is installed, we'll return to facebook.com. This time, no warning appears, and if we check the certificate information, we can see that the FortiGate has signed the certificate, but without any errors. Task 3. Exempt a website from SSL inspection. Sometimes you may need to exempt a website from SSL inspection for reasons such as privacy or to allow applications to run properly. You can exempt websites by address, category, or allow list. In this demo, we're going to exempt Facebook from inspection. We'll go back to the FortiGate and edit the custom deep inspection profile. We'll locate the Exempt from SSL Inspection section. By default, 2 categories are exempt from inspection, as well as several addresses. To add Facebook, click on the plus at the bottom of the Addresses section. A sidebar opens up. In the search bar at the top, we'll type facebook.com. This entry doesn't currently exist, so click Create. Click on Wildcard FQDN. A wildcard FQDN will match secondary and even tertiary domain name of a website. To create the address for Facebook, set wildcard FQDN to star.facebook.com. Click OK to save the new address. Also make sure that the Facebook address is highlighted so that it will be added to the list of exempt addresses. Click on Close to save the changes. Now, let's browse to https://facebook.com and check the certificate information, which shows the original Facebook certificate because SSL Deep Inspection is no longer applied to this site.
Let's put these concepts into practice by completing the following lab simulation. You have completed this lesson. You are now able to describe why SSL traffic should be inspected, describe how SSL inspection works in FortiGate, configure an SSL inspection in a firewall policy,